The NBA today is a game centered around star matchups more than ever, where the league markets the individual stars more than the teams that they play for. It's no longer about historic team rivalries like Lakers-Celtics, Pacers-Knicks, or Bulls-Pistons. It's about the best player on each team going head-to-head. Whether it be national TV broadcasts that highlight the stats of the stars over the collective play of their teams, or the NBA's embracing of social media and the star-focused rank culture that comes with it, one thing is clear. The league depends on its 15 to 20 stars for viewership and fan engagement more than any other sport. While the star-centric lens of the NBA makes sense to some degree, because the outcome of a basketball game is often so heavily affected by a single player, it creates the dilemma where the other 7 to 8 guys in a typical rotation go unnoticed by the majority. These non-stars are categorized as role players, where their value and impact to their team's success is consequently dismissed by the casual fan who's been trained to only view the game through the prism of those 1 or 2 star players. The advent of social media and its increasing influence over how we consume the NBA product has not helped in this regard. Social media has littered the NBA landscape with low information opinions and agenda-driven narratives with few facts sprinkled in between. Box scores and highlights of stars are posted after every game, and the average fan could be forgiven for neglecting the role players on a roster because all that is presented to them is the stars. For example, if the Suns are playing the Nets, it's going to be about Booker and CP3 versus Durant and Kyrie, and that's what will be reflected on social media for the casual fan to see. What I want to do in this series is identify the undervalued impact players that fly under the radar as a result of what I just explained. I want to speak on all the insanely talented but overlooked guys who will never get recognition from ESPN or FS1 talking heads that, frankly, would be trouble to name more than 2 or 3 guys on a given team if their life depended on it. It can be difficult to identify these types of players because it requires evaluating them on their ability rather than their counting stats. There's only so many stats that can be had in a given NBA game, and after the top 2 options on a team, other players have to fall in line with a given role. Oftentimes, these hidden gem type players are stuck behind a star or superstar at their same position, which limits their opportunity and suppresses their numbers. In other words, context is everything. In order to see that player for his ability, you have to look beyond the narratives and stats, which is increasingly difficult in the social media talking head era. Much of this is based on my belief that much of stardom in the NBA today is largely inflated. Yes, there are 10 to 15 guys that possess special physical talents that put them over the top, but after that, it's really not as cut and dry as we tend to think. Every team needs a leading scorer, but does putting up numbers make you elite? How many quote-unquote star players are benefiting from situation and opportunity that a similarly talented player in a different situation does not have? Most of the time, those who are talented will rise to the top eventually, even if they start out in less than ideal situations. Examples from the recent past include someone like Fred VanVleet, who started out in the G League after going undrafted and then finding himself stuck behind DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, limiting his minutes and opportunities. When the opportunity finally arrived after Kawhi Leonard came and left, he was ready for it, and has just recently been named an All-Star for the first time. Did Fred VanVleet get better over the last few years? Of course, but what really changed was his opportunity. If Kawhi never leaves the Raptors, he probably still wouldn't be a starter, and the casual fan wouldn't be able to recognize how good he really is. A similar situation took place with a player like Goran Dragic, who was stuck behind Hall of Famer Steve Nash to start his career, and even a guy like Nikola Jokic could be thrown in this category as a second-round pick who started his career coming off the bench. I really want to attempt to identify these players for their ability before they get the opportunity to put up the accompanying stats that leads to their widespread recognition. I think everyone has the ability to recognize impact, they just have to know what they're watching. It's not at all to say that I'm any expert myself, but more so that you don't have to be. We just have to shift the way that we analyze players and their impact, because the screaming talking heads that list points, rebounds, and assists are not sufficient for those of us who want to truly understand the game. There's a whole universe of non-star players who make up 90+% of the league, and I'm excited to highlight them soon. A lot of great content to come, and I would greatly appreciate if you like and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned.